Now, Apple is ready to pull back the curtain on its latest 2019 iPhone, so right now seems to be a perfectly adequate time to return to the iPhone XS from 2018 and see how the shiny wee blighter is holding up a full year after release, especially following that iOS 13 beta drop. Of course, the price of an iPhone is very rarely whittled down before the launch of a new successor, and the iPhone XS is no different. It'll still cost you from at least 900 quid here in Blighty, or a cool grand if you get it direct from Apple. Did someone say recession? But you never know. Here's hoping that a good few deals will emerge in the next couple of weeks as the iPhone is replaced with a fresher, younger model. Don't worry XS, it happens to us all. So to see if it's still got a spring in its step, I've been using the iPhone XS as my full-time personal pal for the last couple of weeks, and here is my in-depth 1 year later review. And for more on the latest and greatest mobile tech, please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, the iPhone XS is pretty much the only flagship smartphone that you can buy in 2019 that's actually under 6 inches, and while that does make it reasonably compact, those chunky bezels that surround the display keep it from being a true one-handed warrior. Still, as Android phones have basically grown to epic Godzilla-sized proportions in 2019, the iPhone XS is quite a refreshing change. It fits quite nicely to the palm, and it feels really comfortable to clutch as well, thanks to the nice rounded corners and edging. And I do still like the look of the XS as well, despite a lack of real evolution from previous models, from that shiny metal banding to the ice white glossy rear. But oh yeah, this apparently isn't white, it's the silver model. I mean, has anyone at Apple actually seen silver before? I reckon what's probably happened here is that Tim Cook has basically got a load of regular house bricks and painted them with Tipp-Ex, and then given them to Johnny Ive to pay his ridiculous wages, claiming that they're silver bars. That's probably why Johnny finally buggered off. He actually tried cashing the things in at the bank or something. Now, the one real problem with that iPhone XS design is it's really not very durable at all, despite Apple's best claims. I've treated this thing with a lot of care, and it's still scratched on all sides while the edging is properly chipped in places. Compared with a lot of other one-year rival smartphones, it is a bit of a state. So I definitely recommend bunging on some sort of screen protector and a case as well, as this thing ain't exactly cheap. No worries on the water resistance front though, because despite that superficial damage, the iPhone XS can still be dunked in water without drowning. And no complaints at all when it comes to the display either, which is still as bright, bold and beautiful as any Android panel out there. It's an OLED screen which boasts rich hues and sharp contrast. Like most mid to top end Androids, you have full HDR support, while vibrant images really leap off the screen. Chuck on a bit of Netflix and you'll have a lot to ogle here. Although that pesky chunky notch does take out a good slice of the action when you zoom in, so movie fans will probably prefer the dimensions and added customization as something like the Sony Xperia 1. And if you stick this display on top brightness, you could basically use the iPhone XS to melt titanium. It is one powerful motherfucker. You get a proper stereo speaker setup for your audio, which is actually pretty good if you forget your headphones or whatever, but unfortunately there is no 3.5mm port anywhere on the iPhone XS, so you will have to either go wireless or use one of those annoying dongly jobbies. On the software side, changes are coming as iOS 13 is about to grace us with its presence, or if you sign up for the beta like I did, it's already here. A few of the main headlines are focused on battery life. The all-new dark mode should hopefully help to slow battery drain, especially once apps get on board with it as well, while you can expect more power efficient running overall. I've actually done a video on how iOS 13 will keep you juiced up for longer, so go check that out for more. And there are countless other little updates and new features scattered throughout iOS 13, which basically just make it a more enjoyable experience. Far too many to mention in this dedicated review video, of course, but for one, I love the new layout of the Photos app, which makes finding old snaps a hell of a lot easier. There's a lot less scrolling about needed. A few of those existing privacy issues have also been addressed. So for instance, your iPhone will give you a heads up if your apps are sneakily tracking your location without your knowledge. Of course, a few of those more interesting new iOS 13 features, such as the updated Maps app and the CarPlay shenanigans, are US only right now. Not much use if you live here in broken Britain, but it's good to see that the other areas are also improving. And if you have a lot of other Apple gear, such as for instance the HomePod, the AirPods, they all work together pretty much seamlessly, so it's definitely a good time to get embroiled in that Apple ecosystem. Apple also has a strong angle on security, although sadly there's no form of fingerprint unlock on the iPhone XS, which seems frankly bizarre, as even 50 quid handsets usually sport a sensor. Thankfully, the face unlock is normally dependable, although in dodgy lighting it does fall on its arse, just like it does on every other smartphone. Now, packed inside the iPhone XS is Apple's A12 chipset, backed by 4 gigs of RAM, and a full year on, you can still expect gloriously smooth experiences. Of course, I do still see the occasional funny glitch, even before I updated to the beta, like the Wi-Fi dropping out for bugger reason at all. But on the whole, this handset does offer the kind of performance you'd expect from a premium device. Gamers will fill their Y-fronts at those sky-high frame rates for sure. And battery life life is absolutely fine as well. Migrating to iOS 13 hasn't had a serious impact or anything just yet, but this is of course just the beta version. Hopefully the full version will bring some more improvements, especially, as I say, hopefully that dark mode will roll out to all first and third party apps as well that get on board with it. And regardless, even at the end of a really busy day, I tend to have at least 10% life left, so it's fairly dependable, if not exactly an outstanding performer. Just remember to charge it every night. And you do get full wireless charging support, of course, if you can't be asked with them cable watsits. Now, while most Android phones these days are clamoring to cram in as many camera lenses as possible, the iPhone XS makes do with just two. You get a dual 12 megapixel setup, including an f1.8 wide-angle lens and an f2.4 telephoto lens, which offers a 2x optical zoom and 10x digital zoom. As you'd expect from Apple, the iPhone XS is a perfectly capable snapper, and it will suit the everyday consumer down to the ground. But of course, at £1,000, it has to be said that it has been surpassed by many Androids that are even around half of its price. Case in point, Google's Pixel 3a, which costs just 400 bob, yet produces stunning shots in pretty much any conditions. Here's just a few side-by-sides to show how the Pixel stands tall against the iPhone despite that gulf in cost. A lot of the iPhone pics look a tad warmer in comparison, but apart from that, you would really struggle to tell them apart. That said, one area where the iPhone does perform particularly well is high contrast. If you take a lot of shots framed by bright skies, then Apple's handset produces brilliantly balanced photos. On the flip side, the far cheaper Pixel 3a beats the bollocks off the iPhone for night shots thanks to its dedicated low light mode. That's something that most bargain basement Androids now offer, but it's conspicuous by its absence on the XS. I reckon it'll almost certainly come to the 11. Still, at least in iOS 13, you do have improved editing features to sort out any dodgy snaps and help to bring them to life, although there's still no manual control when you're shooting photos and video beyond changing the focal point and brightness levels. As for your home movies, the XS can shoot up to 4K resolution footage at either 30 or 60 frames per second, with a bit of slow-mo capture at 240 FPS as well. You can get respectable image stabilization thrown in, and I have no qualms at all with the quality of the picture or the audio, as long as again the lighting is pretty sound. And finally, around front you have that 7 megapixel f2.2 snapper, which can once again shoot portrait photos complete with dodgy studio lighting effects. Lovely. Now, at the time of the shooting, one full year after launch, the iPhone XS still cost from £999 for the basic 64GB model, rising to an eye-gouging £1,349 for the top-end 512GB version. Sorry Gran, back on the operating table with you, that other kidney is coming right the f*** out. But assuming that the iPhone XS comes down a bit in price with the launch of the 11, is it still worth a punt? Well, if you're sold on iOS and the Apple ecosystem in general, it is a solid all-round handset, although the cheaper XR still offers most of the same benefits, except for a couple of £100 less. Of course, if you are willing to explore outside of Apple devices, then you will find plenty of Androids that cost half as much or less that still offer a premium experience. So that's what I personally think of the iPhone XS 12 months after it hit UK stores. Have you been using the iPhone XS? It'd be great to hear your own personal experiences. Are you excited about the iPhone 13? Be interested to see if there's any cool new features in there that haven't already leaked all over the interwebs. And definitely for more on the latest and greatest mobile tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notification bell. Cheers everyone, love you.